Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to The View for this week's podcast. Returned from his holidays after gallivanting last week and leaving us high and dry. As our co-host for the podcast this week is Paul from the Leeds Derby. Paul, how you doing, mate? How's things? How was Devon?
Devon was absolutely wonderful. The beaches were fantastic. I taught my dog to swim properly. He's 4 years old. By taught, I mean I pulled him on his lead into the water, so he didn't really have much choice. He was fine. He loved it. He came out with me and he swam around. The nice thing about the beach where we were at, you could go out quite far, and it's still relatively shallow, so it was lovely. Yeah. And he swam around. We then got caught in a tropical thunderstorm and rained, and had to walk back to the car and got absolutely drenched. But no, it was really nice to get away. I'm not a big fish eater, and I ate, lemon sole one evening that had been freshly caught that day. And it was like eating chicken, is the best way I can describe it. It's just like eating chicken. It was gorgeous. Really nice. But I'm good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I went out coaching a player that I used to train years ago when he was in Ireland and before he went off and became a pro when he was off in Asia and Kosovo last year. He's been in Scandinavia playing football. He's home for a couple of weeks. So I was doing a bit of a training session with him today, and it was cloudy and spitting rain. I thought, grand, no sun cream, no hats needed. Off I went out, and as you can see from here, and all of here, I got absolutely burnt to a crisp. So my day was weird, but there you go. So Liam's asking for a photograph when he comes to Ireland. Yeah, when you come to Ireland for the AC Milan game, I'll be floating around the Camden the morning of, and then in the game at the match outside the game ground as well. So if you're around, come and have a chat with us. There'll be a few of us. Paul's coming to the game as well. Paul, aren't you? Yes. Grant. Okay. We've got a bit of stuff to get stuck into. Lobster Boy Jer is correct. So I've saved a couple of comments that we'll do at the end. We won't do a huge amount on chat when we get into the big bulk of today because we want to get through the stuff that's there. I will do this though, so your comments can be seen on screen now. So they should start loading in the bottom corner. So you can keep an eye on that. But we're going to talk about, I suppose, the fallout from the Eigor Piao situation and where Leeds are, the deafening silence that has now taken over the space that was there. And today we saw, and I suppose I'll use Joe Wayman's words for this, just bullshit that came out of everywhere today around Rumour. So we're going to cover that as well. And that's where the heading of tonight's stream comes. Trust the logic, ignore the rumour. So we'll get into that and why these links don't make any sense and what I would suggest to people doing. Now, you can make your own decisions. If you want to believe them, you can believe them. If you want to believe Football Insider, no, you can. That's your choice. You won't get a lot right, but it's your choice, completely your choice. But we'll talk about it. We'll start off. I do want to cover something really, really early on. And I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of plugging stuff, you know that, but this is the job. If you want to support the channel by buying any of Leeds' official stuff, there's links down below in the description. You can do that. Also, the link to Paul's channel is there as well if you want to subscribe to Paul's channel. But I do want to go through a little bit of a thing. You may have noticed, I put it out yesterday, we are going to work through a bit of a rebrand at the minute, and I just wanted to make you aware of it because what can happen sometimes is when a rebrand happens, people don't recognize the logos anymore and you miss out on stuff. So I wanted to be able to show you a couple of bits and pieces just to let you know. I'm very happy to be working with a man called James Wallace who is designing this. He has his own site, his own company that he does this with, and once it's all out and done and dusted, I would give you all of James' details as well for anyone who's looking for that kind of work as well. So, but just to let you see, this is what the channel logo is moving to. So it's a slight change in what the current one was always based off of the Leeds United shield with a slight separation at the top to create a T and a V for the view. Obviously, we've changed the channel name now to the Leeds View. So it's less like an all-women's talk show in the afternoon and more like an actual Leeds United podcast. So there's that. So you get the bigger gap there, and the T is there at the top, then the V and the L wrapped around the T as well. So this will be the new logo for the channel. It will match up with all of our new designs. We'll have a full suite of everything will be changing on the channel, backgrounds, banners, everything. And that will also move across to Big Up as well. So anyone who wants to get watch-alongs this year will be doing an awful lot more watch-alongs over on Big Up. The plan is to try and do the under-21 games as well because there isn't an embargo anymore on under-21 games. So if a Premier League game is being shown and Leeds have got a Premier League 2 game on LUTV, we can watch that. So lots of new stuff coming as well. Lots of more stuff to announce over the next couple of weeks that I'm not allowed to talk about at the moment, but there is some really exciting things coming, and that will find its way through to you guys watching and listening as well to get some benefit from that. But that is the the new brand, the new logo, the new look. A massive thanks to James Wallace for putting that together for me. But I wanted to just at least share that with you just at the start. You'll start to see this more and more over the next couple of weeks. And then once the season starts, that will take over as the main brand of the channel moving forward. So just to give you a heads up, because I am aware of channels before who've done a full rebrand and then gone, where'd everybody go? So there you go. So you'll see it changing slowly over the next couple of weeks. I have kept a couple of comments back and I will get to them at the end. If you're listening to the audio version of this, I will read out the comments as well, so you've got some context. So, but yeah, let's crack on, Paul, I suppose, and talk about the fallout. The big one was Eigor Piao.
Mm-hmm.
So we got everyone got very excited on Sunday. Keep put out an article on Sunday that basically said pretty much Leeds are going to get this done. They're the final set of negotiations they're pushing. Radrazani came out with a tweet. I didn't do a live stream because the keeper hit and miss a lot of the time. So that didn't excite me.
Mm-hmm.
Puts out his tweet where he says Leeds are pushing hard. But what was missing from that was here we go. That tells you it's close. That wasn't in it. And that to me said there's still ground to cover on this. And lo and behold, it was. Mm-hmm. Kind of used Marseille initially, Paul, in my opinion, to see what they were looking for and then go in with that bid. And then it appears that Marseille have kind of looked at us and gone, well, let's them go as far as they can to get an agreement. And then we'll match that agreement and then we'll get the player because of Champions League football. So that appears to be what happens. They both had their bids accepted and Piao then has decided himself to go with Marseille instead of Leeds. What are your thoughts on this? Where's your head at with it? It is the shiny marquee signing, but it has been followed by deafening silence. And that usually means to me, Leeds are busy doing something.
Couple of things for me that, yes, it's disappointing. There's you can't get away from that. We all got our mouth watered for food that eventually we weren't ever going to eat. I think that's probably a fair statement. L'Équipe, I think that I was just literally, Michael, I was about to come to that. I think the big reason why he chose Marseille over us, two reasons. One was the Champions League football. You just can't argue with that. That's something that, regardless, people want to test themselves at. But also, as well, the way that Feyenoord bought him originally was to wine and dine his family. And Marseille did exactly the same thing this time around. And his family all really, really liked that. That's why the big thing that a lot of people forgot about with all of it was the fact that he'd already agreed personal terms with Marseille. We were used a little bit as a bit of a yardstick, a benchmark to try and get Marseille to come in and go and just say, look, Leeds are offering this and we are going to take it because it's where we need to be. We know that he was interested in the project that Leeds United had, but ultimately the Champions League football, the fact that he'd already agreed personal terms, and when you look at where the information was coming from in terms of saying that we were close, we were doing X, we were doing Y, we were doing Z, it wasn't your usual kind of journalists that make you really, really get excited. So Graham Smith was extremely quiet about it. Berryn, I don't even think Berryn tweeted once about it at all in the days leading up to what was going on. No. So the local journalists that would really, really put the information out because the club would say to them, look, you need to start talking about this, you need to start pushing it, weren't saying anything at all. It was all the journalists overseas that were saying something. Mm-hmm. And we all got whipped up and we were searching for any bit of information that we could get. And it wasn't reliable information just because it was carrying the name of Leeds. It was getting a lot of retweets. It was getting a lot of reposts, etc., so on and so forth. So it was then looking like it was carrying a lot more weight. So look, yeah, it's disappointing, but we move on. What it shows to me is that the club are serious about going after targets, and if the money is there to go and get a player, we will put the money up to go and get him. We had a deal agreed with Marseille for X amount of pounds. That's fact. That's there. So we have the money if needs be. So everybody that thought we were skint, we aren't. No. But it's about being sensible. So yeah, it's done, and we just move on to the next one now. It's gone and it's fine. People need to remember as well, we signed like 2 players in the past week as well. So it's not everything is still going well. We're still doing well. It's just we couldn't get it over the line because the other club that we were combating with had Champions League and also had really done a good job on his parents as well and his family. So the terms were already there.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I like the language that was used by Baron Cross in the build-up with the Piao story was that Adam Underwood has what he refers to as stretch targets. So players that we normally would look at and go, not going to get him. They've gone after them. Now, just to clarify what Rick is asking here, Leeds had an agreement with the agent for personal terms for Piao. Same as Marseille did. It then came down to the player's personal preference of which one do you want. They both bid and had their bids accepted. They both had agreed to personal terms of what the player wanted. It then just came down to personal choice. And has also been said by Graham Smith today, Leeds are not pursuing any player who does not want to come to the club. So when they send out the player initially, if the player says, "I've no interest," Leeds stop dead, move on to the next target. No point. So they're not doing that. They did have positive noise. They were told that the player was impressed and his family were impressed with the proposition that Leeds put forward. And I think if Marseille hadn't agreed a fee, he comes to Leeds. I think that looked like it. But Marseille have managed to find the extra cash and go all out. They've smashed their transfer record to get this deal done. So, yeah. Unfortunately, it couldn't be done. But look, I mean, I saw some comments yesterday about, well, we wasted 2 weeks. We didn't. We signed 2 players during that 2 weeks as well. We had a preseason campaign going on as well. There's nothing wasted here. They're after lots and lots of targets at the exact same time. When they're ready to pull the plug or pull the lever on each of them, that's when they do it. They've done fine business this year. One player who was a bit out of our reach to go for, falling off the radar, doesn't ruin a window. They've got other targets. We'll get to the targets that are linked today. Pierre is asking the question about, do we think MOT Leeds News are a credible source? They're owned by Football Insider. There you go. So the answer to that would be a big no. Same with the Leeds Press. They just make up stuff and put it out there. So I wouldn't buy any of that stuff. But we are going to talk about the links to players that have come out. And we're going to talk about the logic that's behind the Piao move and why these links that have come out today make absolutely no sense at all. So, and also just to point out again as well, this is how transfer windows work. We went for players that other clubs wanted and we got them before them. We've gone for players that we wanted and other clubs have nipped in ahead of us to get them as well. It's nothing new in that. Nothing changes. That's how transfer markets work. So it is what it is. You take the wins, the be-alls and the gone blank now on the midfielders' names. You've Longstaff, Stack, huge one. You take the wins with them and you take the losses with the Diarras and the Piaos.
I don't think people realise how good of a player Statch is going to be for us.
Did you see the assist for the goal for Piro's goal? That snap pass.
Yep.
I just want to just clarify this as well. No one is dismissing Manor Solomon for Leeds as an option. People keep saying that people are dismissing Manor Solomon. I want to just be really clear on this. Manor Solomon is not a Leeds United player. He is a Tottenham Hotspur player. He is not a current Leeds player. Why Leeds can't look at other players because of Solomon is bizarre to me. Leeds are trying to get a better player than Manor Solomon. That's not to say Manor Solomon isn't a really good player. And it's not to say that Leeds don't go for him towards the end of the window anyway and bring him in. But he's not a Leeds player. And he's trying to get Spurs to keep him. He's working his hardest. He wants to stay at Spurs and he's trying to get them to keep him. Leeds can't sit around and wait for Manor Solomon. If Leeds can get a better player than Manor Solomon, that's a really, really, really good player you're bringing in because Manor Solomon is a very good player. No one is dismissing him at all, but he doesn't play for Leeds United. So there's no point in talking about a player who's not at the club. If he does come back to Leeds, great. But right now, Leeds are trying to get better than they have. I saw someone earlier on say on Joe's, well, if we can get better than Solomon, then we should sell James, we should sell Nonto, and we should sell Ramazani. The reason why they're all Leeds United players. They're currently in the squad. The logic doesn't add up. Again, we're working off logic today, which is going to be tough. But we are trying to work off logic. Manor Solomon's not a Leeds player. Leeds can't sit around and hope they get him. What if Spurs decide in the last week of the window, do you know what? He's not for sale. Now we've got nobody. I mean, it's panic stations. So really important that Leeds work away. Yeah, so we crack on with our own. We crack on with our own business. And that's all Leeds can do.
As well. Solomon hasn't played in the Premiership in terms of established in the Premiership. Not much. that's another reason why if he was to come, it would be the back end of the window. If we can get better, we will get better. So
yeah, that's what you should look to. If Daniel James was to move on from Leeds in the morning, Leeds would look to get better than Dan James. If one of our midfielders was to move on, Leeds would look to get a better midfielder than that. So it's not. There are other players than players that have played for Leeds United. Like, we should look around instead of going, well, that guy used to play for us, we'll bring him back. We should be looking further than that, and we should be trying to better ourselves. And Manor Solomon is also injured again at the moment as well, so that should also be pointed out as well. But Piao was injured as well, so that doesn't really matter. At this point in the season, people get injured because of preseason loads, so not the end of the world. But let's talk about these lads. Paul, I'm going to stick them up on the screen. I was going to stick them up on the screen, but that doesn't appear to be working now.
It did come up on the screen for a second.
Not coming up on my screen. Oh, there we go. Get rid of the background. Right. So today alone, the linked players, Paul, with Leeds have been Jota Silva from Nottingham Forest.
Yep.
Johnny Rowe from Marseille.
Yep.
And Ricardo Sotil from Fiorentina. Mm-hmm. Now, before I get into my stats list that I want to go through with these lads and why they're not credible, what are your thoughts on these?
They're all rubbish. I don't mean they're rubbish as players. I mean the links themselves are rubbish. Sotil, no idea. Genuinely, no idea. None whatsoever at all. Rowe, that's purely come up because we were in for him last season. That's the only reason that one's there. And the Nottingham Forest player, he can't get into the Nottingham Forest squad. He's had injuries. We aren't going to be looking at a player like that. And I mean, his eyebrows are fabulous, but just other than that, it's just not. What happens is we've now been linked with the winger.
Yeah.
So, and we've put our head above the parapet and gone, we're going to get a winger. Oh, we're looking at getting a winger. So now every single winger in Christendom is going to be coming up that we are going to be interested in.
Yeah. It's
all rubbish. All of those players, not bad players, but the links themselves are absolute bobbins.
Yeah. Now, I'll tell you why I believe they're bobbins. Okay. The starting point of this is Leeds United have stretch targets. Players that they don't believe they can get, but they want to get. That's their list of targets. So take Eigor Piao as the example. And this is the precedent of everything else, where these three players need to be compared to what an Eigor Piao would deliver. Okay. Not even deliver. The minimum of what Leeds are even trying to do with these to get these guys when they're looking at the statistics on black and white and on paper. Eigor Piao started 34 league games last season. He scored 16 goals in the area division. 16 goals and had 10 assists just in the league. In the Champions League, he started 11 games, scored 2 goals and got 4 assists and won a couple of Man of the Match awards there as well. So that's the kind of player Leeds are looking for. Jota Silva started 5 games for Nottingham Forest last season. He made 26 sub-appearances, scored 3 goals and got 1 assist, and is for sale by Nottingham Forest. So Forest are selling him. Johnny Rowe started 6 games in the league last year, scored 3 goals, got 3 assists, is for sale, and we just competed with Feyenoord for the man that's replacing him. Why would Leeds then move for him, who wasn't deemed good enough by Marseille, but we were trying to apply the player that Marseille were trying to replace him with? Then you look at Ricardo Sotil, on loan at AC Milan last year, didn't do a whole lot, 9 starts, 1 goal, 1 assist, and Fiorentina have said he can go. All 3 of those players are for sale. Eigor Piao wasn't for sale. And that's a starting point. Leeds went for a player they wanted, not because he was available, but because he was good. Because the numbers added up, the statistics mattered up, the player's attitude apparently is brilliant. That all ticked all the boxes. And then these 3 players, every single one of them is being sold by their club, which tells you then this is all their agents putting their names out there and connecting Leeds to it so they can try and generate interest in the players. None of those players would improve the Leeds United squad. None of those players, I don't believe, are better than the players we've currently got. To bring Manor Solomon back into the conversation, I think Manor Solomon is far better than any of those 3 players. So for me, when you apply logic to this and you look at the Eigor Piao situation, you go, why would Leeds go after a player like Piao, who's tough to get, will cost a lot of money, and they don't want to sell, and the player isn't pushing for a move, and then when they don't get him, default to 3 players that are all up for sale, haven't done it in their respective leagues, have had very little output in terms of anything and will cost next to nothing. Except for Jota Silva, who they want 15 million euro for barely kicking a ball. And as has been described, the Timu Jack Grealish. So to me, when you look at it in black and white, and then you look at how the 49ers have operated this summer, none of it makes any sense. So for me, these have come from the Leeds Press, MOT Leeds News, Sports Witness. And then they've been picked up by Ekram Knorr's Ram at One, never gets anything right about Leeds, not a proper journalist. So when you look at all of that stuff together and you then go, are these credible? No, not in my opinion. So that's my logic over Rumour rant out the way, Paul. Your thoughts then?
It's tough. What you've got to try and do is we all get excited because we all want nice, new, shiny things. And you just said it yourself. Look at the way that we do our business now with the 49ers in charge. Look at the way that it's done and the way that the backroom staff, aka Adam Underwood, his team, everybody else, in the way that it works. We generally will get told, like with Stash, for argument's sake, probably about 2 weeks before that was going to happen, was when the news started to float and bubble. But it came from Plettenberg. It came from Graham Smith put some information out there. Barron put some information out there.
Two Sky Sports journalists as well.
Yes, a couple of Sky Sports journalists. Sky Sports Germany as well. Sky Sports Germany put some information out there. So once those higher ups start to put information out there, then you can start to sort of get involved and believe it a little bit more. What the really, really difficult thing to do is that we are, as fans, we're all desperate to see new signings. So we will cling on to any bit of information that we see, any bit of news that we see, or anything that gets put through. You just need to go onto Twitter, type in Leeds United in your search bar, and just see what comes. I mean, I put in Eigor Piao loads of times yesterday just to see the information that was coming up. Some of the news sources that were making claims were fanatical, to say the least. But it's the same with the Leeds United stuff. You see it, the Leeds Press, Leeds.com and other bits and pieces and stuff like that. It's just, you've got to try and look for the correct information, and it's difficult. You have to try and read between the lines. The way that we do business is completely different. The reason that those three in particular have come about is purely because the agents know we're looking for a winger. So let's get their names out there to see if we can get that information or get that, get my player in front of there. But if I can kind of show that Leeds are potentially looking, then we might get a move somewhere else that might be better. When they say that as well, what you need to think about is that Leeds are interested in. It doesn't necessarily mean that. What it means is that the agents picked up the phone and gone, I hear you're looking for a winger. We have a winger. Do you think you could be interested in? Etc. So on and so forth. But what that means is their agents then spoken to the club. So that then gives them a line to be able to put out. And that's kind of what you need to think about sometimes when you're putting out this information or where it's coming from.
Sorry, Ali. Yeah, Ali Ward just said he put out a video today about all three of them. But they're in my news video today as well, but I stuck them in the rumor mill because, again, I just don't see any. I don't see a logical connection between how the 49ers operate, which seems to me to be a huge amount of logic that they put into their signings. They think about the whole process of not just signing a player, but the impact that player will have in the dressing room, what his attitude is like, does he fit the overall build of the squad, does he have room to grow and develop and get better, is he coming into his peak years? And these just don't apply. You've got three clubs trying to get rid of these three players and offload them. I think you're dead right, Paul. It is a case of an agent picking up the phone, ringing Leeds and saying, do you fancy him? And then telling the press, oh, we spoke to Leeds today about blah, blah, blah. There's some level of interest, like that much, like teeny amount. And then we move on. So Joe Wayman wrapped it up perfect today by referring to it as reload the silly season.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to get that for a bit now. I think we're going to get links for strikers. We're going to get links for every winger until we start getting a bit more news around what is actually going on. But the 49ers have worked in silence this year. It's desperately silent right now. Even the local press aren't putting a huge amount of stuff out. So for me, I think they're busy. They're working on stuff. And maybe, come here, Maybe Piao helped in a certain situation. There was so much noise around Piao. There was nothing else being put out by anybody else. Maybe that allows Leeds to get other business done under the radar while everyone is screaming and shouting about Piao, and then puts Leeds in a positive position once they come out to get other stuff done. Because Schmidt's leaving. As soon as Leeds can get a backup right back, Jaffa Tanganga has been mentioned. I would pay $2 million for Jaffa Tanganga right now to bring him in as a backup fullback and backup centre back.
100%.
I think very sensible signing that would make logical sense because backup player has Premier League experience, still relatively young, can play right back and centre back, and was very good against Leeds last year twice. So there's that. So they still have to do that. They still need a left winger. They still need a 9, and then Farke wants to flesh out a couple of other positions as well. I don't think we look for a 10, Paul, because I don't think we're going to play with a 10 this year. I think it's going to be wide attacking inside forwards more so than a number 10.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be I think we're going to be playing more of a 4-3-3 system pretty much this season. I think that's shown in the way that we've lined up pre-season wise so far, but we did the same last season as well. But I think that's potentially the way that we're going to look. And when it's funny now when you sort of step back and now look at the words that Farke used when he said, I want the bulk of my squad in by X date. And we were all going, well, he's not signed the winger yet. He's not signed the striker yet. He's not signed the number 10. He's not done this. He's not done that. But actually, when you look at it now, the players that he's actually brought in, I think this is what he means by the bulk of his squad in by the 7th of July. I think that he wanted to make sure that he's got pretty much the defence and the midfield sorted out for now.
Which does.
And then the flashier players, if you like, come in towards the end of the window, or the ones that are the little bit of magical dust anywhere, just the ones that take long, like Muniz, for example. We know Muniz is a target. He is. We've been told by the main local journalists now, we know he's a target. So it's just like I said, when you read between the lines and then think about now what we have in front of us, the strategy and the plan that they've put in place so far is working for me. It looks good, sensible, and it looks right. So that's kind of how I feel about it all now.
Yeah, I think you're bang on the money. I trust the process that's there right now. We know, you mentioned Muniz, they've said it's going to be very late in the window for the big signings. And we're getting to that point where there's September 1st is the deadline this year for the window. Season starts in 20 days time. So we're getting close to that, getting close towards the end of the window period. And Leeds will make a move. Leeds won't get Muniz unless Fulham bring another striker in. They're actively looking for another striker. So that's dominoes falling territory. As soon as they get their striker, maybe he becomes available, then Leeds can move in. So we have to see there. But yeah, these are the ones that were always going to be the tougher ones to get. I think coming up against an Everton in the first day of the season, I would have no issues with the attacking players that we have. Joel Piao has come back in incredible shape. Have you seen how lean he is now? Yeah. He's a half a yard faster and he's banging in goals.
Yeah, I keep an eye on him this season. I think he's going to have a much better season than what people potentially thought he was going to have. I think you could see some special stuff from Piao. And like Pierre said, Nemetcha's not looked bad either.
No, he's not. He's not. And he can play in those wider areas as well if he needs to come inside and attack. And he's a big lad as well. But yeah, I just looked at a picture of Joel Piao today, and then I saw a picture of him this time last year, and I was like, he's about a stone lighter. He looks in great shape. He's far more mobile. His finishing's always been good in around the box. So yeah, I mean, as has been said, love his attitude. I think he's been quality in preseason. Now, I would always I'll add the caveat. This time last year, we were waxing lyrical about Matteo Joseph in preseason. So just, I would put that caveat there. And Paderborn are not a top tier German club. So there is always that. But just by looking at the shape he's come back in, he's taking it seriously this year and he's come back in to do big things. But Paul, we should talk about the ones on the way out. Isaac Schmidt looks like he's going to head to Werder Bremen. Deal agreed with the player. Leeds ironing out the details of the loan. No news whether it's an option or an obligation. This one to me feels very shallow in terms of it's not that deep. Like, player needs game time if he wants to play in the World Cup. Switzerland management has said to him, if you want to play in the World Cup, you've got to be playing regularly. He won't get ahead of Bogle. Jaden Bogle is Leeds' first choice right back, and they brought a first choice left back in Gudmundsson. Everyone can say he always looked good for Leeds. I had no problem with Isaac Schmidt, but he played 71 minutes total last season. And that should tell you enough of a manager who's looking at him every single day. I don't believe in charity minutes for players either. Leeds had to win a league last year. Can't afford just giving someone a chance. I don't buy that. So for me, it looks like Schmidt will move on, get game time. He might come back to us next season and then push again after having a year in the Bundesliga. Maybe that's the step he needed on from where he was last year. Maybe he missed that middle step before going to a tougher league or tougher country. I've no problem with Isaac Schmidt. I've loved him when he has played for Leeds and his attitude's been great. But he needs to play in the World Cup, Paul, so he needs to go and play football somewhere.
Yeah, that's the only way you can look at this, is that it's purely for that reason, that he needs the minutes in his legs for the World Cup. He needs to show that he's there. I think clearly he was never Farke's guy in terms of, from a signing point of view. He was cover. I think he did fine. I've got no issues with him. You look at him, he seems to get on with everybody. Everything seems good. I've got no issues with that whatsoever at all. He needs to go and do what he needs to do. That's it. I had people saying to me, "Oh, I would have kept him over giving Byram a contract because Byram's not good enough cover for it." And it's like, Byram is a specialist defender. That's his specialist position. That's not Schmidt.
We need 8 homegrown players that played last season for Leeds. Schmidt isn't one. Byram is one. Yep.
That's the other side of it as well. That's just the way that the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. It is what it is. It isn't that deep at all. It's not. There's no conspiracy theory. There's nothing. Sometimes you're not in the manager's plans the way that you want to be. And I'd slightly disagree with that, because Schmidt's agent put out the noise a couple of weeks ago and made a little thing about X, Y, and Z and finding
a solution this summer.
Yeah, finding a solution, but how it's been carried out this far has been absolutely fine in terms of what's gone on now, because it's done, it's sorted. We've got a good relationship with Bremen, anyways, because of obviously the deal that we've done recently. So it works for all parties, and I wish him the best of luck. And I think he'll do really well over there. I genuinely do think he'll do very well over there. And look, at the end,
I'm looking forward to seeing him in the World Cup as well, because he will get there.
If he gets the minutes there and then improves as a player, and then comes back to us as an improved player, fantastic. Absolutely
great
fantastic.
News. Yeah, he's got a contract here. So, unless there's no obligation or option, he goes off, he gets some minutes, he plays some football, he comes back, and maybe he's in a bit stronger position to push then. We'll see where Leeds are at that point. So, it's I keep saying it's not that deep. People are saying Farke didn't see him as a fullback because he brought him on the wings. Farke didn't see him as better than his fullback. So to give him any kind of minutes, he had to put him on somewhere, and he gave him, again, I'll call them charity minutes. They're going at 10 minutes. The game's over. We've won this. Going to get some legs. I'll get some minutes for your legs, and away he goes. So, that's it. The other one that's the more controversial one is the Matteo Joseph situation, still rumbling on this week. Although news came out yesterday that Girona are in the mix for the player. I have a quote that I want, and you read it in the news this morning, but I thought I wanted to get your reaction to this, Paul. It is now Sport Witness, but it's not about the actual transfer. It's just about how they describe Betis's transfer policy, which is very interesting. So Sport Witness described Betis's transfer strategy as deliberately dragging out negotiations with the attempt to pressure clubs to sell at unreasonable terms. Now, I've spoken to Manchester United fans, and they hate them because of how they've conducted themselves in transfers. We've had Llorente and Mark Roca where they agreed options to buy players, and then come the end of the year when they wanted to negotiate the options, Leeds didn't get promoted, and they turned around and told Leeds, we're not giving you that money, we want a lower fee. The option for Llorente, I think, was between 12 and 16 million. They got him for 4. The option for Roca was 10. They got him for 2 or 3, I think. So he's lost out money there. Leeds in a position where they don't have to sell Matteo Joseph. He's got a contract till 2028. Betis won't pay more than 8. Leeds want 13. That's where we are. There's a gap of 5 million there. And now Girona have entered the mix. Now, Girona are also said to not be overly keen on paying 13 million for him, but they're described as being more flexible when it comes to cash. They are owned by the City Group, which means you might see him back against Leeds in the future should he turn out to be a decent striker. But they have a little bit more money. And the story is, it's in Leeds' favour that there's 2 now, because now there's pressure on Betis to do something. But I want to get your thoughts on the whole situation.
I can't stand Betis. It's short for just the way that they, not as a team, but just the way that their backroom staff think that they can. I don't know what business school that they went to, but I don't think they know how to conduct themselves very well.
No.
We have an issue with Matteo Joseph in that he wants the minutes, but he's not developed enough yet to be able to start, in my opinion. There is a fantastic striker in there. He's proved that he is good in the under-21s for Spain, so it's a different type of football altogether. He needs to grow and he needs to progress. Everybody thought he was going to do that last season. He was given the opportunity to do it at the start of last season. It didn't come off for him for whatever reason. You and I both said when we talked, about a month ago now after the season ended, in terms of players that we wanted to keep, sell, loan, get rid of, what we wanted to do. We both said that he should be loaned out for a year. I think a loan with no option would be the best, but if he has his heart set on a permanent move, then it's kind of, we'll pay the money that he's worth. He's got a book value of 12 between, what is it, 12 and 14 million, I think it is. We want for him.
Yeah.
Come up with the money. Go north of 10 million, and then we can have a strong conversation about it. It's that simple. If he doesn't want to be here anymore, we can't. He doesn't. See you later. But for me, I think for his development and his development with Leeds United, a consistent year of playing football is the best thing for him out on loan, and then to come back again. But yeah, as far as Betis are concerned, I can't stand them in terms of the way that they do business, because of the way that they intentionally drag their heels and the way that they consistently go back on or renege on agreements that they've made. Like Roca and Llorente, it winds me up. I hate that.
Yeah, because there's an agreement. Like you're saying, should the loan go well, and we all agree on the move, we'll give you the money and we'll negotiate that now, so that at the end of the season it's a quick transaction. And then to get to that point of the season to go, yeah, we want to keep the player, but we're not giving you that. It's bad faith. It's operating in bad faith. Most businesses would kick you out the door for operating under bad faith. So it's tough. I think Matteo Joseph has been incredibly badly advised. He's now finding himself training separately away from the group, which is not going to help his match sharpness. He could have been involved in pre-season. The one thing about Schmidt is he's got on with things. The one thing about the players that Leeds have all, but Pat Bamford got on with things. Just got on with things. You know, he knows he's not going to be here. Doesn't matter. Get himself sharp. Get himself playing minutes. Mateo's thrown his toys at the pram. It is never a good idea to refuse to travel, because you just end up being segregated from the group. You're a young player. Now, again, I spoke to that player that I was coaching today, Abdin, and we were talking about different moves, and he was up for a move to Ukraine at one point when he was 22, and he was saying to me that his agent in the room wrote down a figure of what the agent wanted and showed it to the guys in the team, and he was asked to leave the room, and he said by the end of the conversation, he wasn't going to the team anymore because the agent had messed around so much and advised him, but Abdin didn't have a voice in the conversation, so didn't get a chance to sit there and go, well, I want to come. Ignore the agent. I'll change my agent. I want the move. That never happened. So he was just told, leave the room. We're going to have a conversation. So the agent dealt with it, and then the move didn't happen because of the agent. So these things can happen. You can be very badly advised. Family can get involved in it. You've seen it with Piao. His family wanted to move to Marseille. He moves to Marseille. All those are influences. But he needs to conduct himself a certain way. You need to go, I keep saying it, you need to go to work. You just need to turn up for work and do the minimum. Just go in and train with the first team, play the games, be in the squad. You'll get your move, because they won't want you here if you don't want to be here, but you'll get your move. All the players Leeds brought in, they didn't throw the toys out of the pram. They all turned up the preseason training. They all did their bits, and then they got their moves. But it'll be really interesting to see now. Their loan thing is interesting. We both agree on the loan. And Leeds apparently are open to a straight up loan. No option, no obligation. Leeds want them back, but they're open to him going on loan. And this is where the Betis conspiracy comes in for me. Betis don't want an option. Don't want an obligation to buy. They want an option to buy, which means they're banking on Leeds getting relegated, and then they'll negotiate that option down and get the player for half the price. That's where my stuff is there. So I'm glad to see Girona coming in. And as you say, if it does go north of that £10 million mark, fine. Job done. Take him.
Yeah, you can have a conversation about it, and I agree with you. From the agent side of things, it is hilarious for agents to advise their clients in the way that they do. I mean, you look at Nonto's the best situation to use as an example. He ended up changing agents, because of the way that his agent dealt with the situation.
He signed a new deal.
And signed a new deal. Played fantastic last season. Has looked sharp in pre-season. Got his head down and got on with it. He said that he kept that picture of. You remember the banner that was made the night that he'd said that he wanted to leave.
Oh, the wow, I don't want to play in the championship.
Yeah. So they'd used the what is it off the Notorious B.I.G. album, hadn't they, with the picture of the baby and superimposed his head onto it. He said he kept a picture of that on his phone. He kept a picture of that on his phone for years, for the season, to use as motivation. And then the funny thing was that he tweeted it, not tweeted, he put it on, was it on Instagram? I think he put it on Instagram, didn't he, after we got promoted? And you just think, fair play, you get it. You get
between your teeth.
Understand. Yeah, 100%, which is, that's all that you want to see. But just that the level of being badly advised is just hilarious, the way that it works.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
You can't do that with somebody that is autocratic like Farker, that just, he will not accept that type of dissent, because if you do, then everybody else does it. And what you've got in the 49ers as well is a group of owners that will back you up on that at the same time as well, like they did. So yeah, but
he's no leverage. Where he has no leverage. I mean, that's where, for me, it's the really big mistake. Leeds can stick him in the under-21s.
Yeah.
They've got till 2028. They don't need to make a PSR decision until June 26. So Leeds can just sit on it. He's not on huge wages because he was signed when Leeds were getting relegated out of the Premier League, but he was signed as an under-21 player and then the Championship. So he's not on huge money. So Leeds can just sit on him and go, we don't need to sell. And right now we're not going to, because where's the value in? We think you will be one of the best strikers in Europe at some point in the future. Why would we let you go for nothing? Or let you go for 6-7 million? You know, it's not happening. Like, he doesn't have any leverage to do what he's done. If he was in the final year of his contract and did this, you've got leverage now. Leeds are going to risk losing out on money or sell you now. But you've 3 years, mate. 3 years. Like, what are you going to do? All it's going to do is damage your prospects of playing for Spain. So this is a terrible idea. And also what it shows other clubs is, I'm going to come back to the point. I just saw a comment I want to come back to in a sec. It's a very good point. What it also does is it shows other clubs in the future that if we sign this player and it's not going well for him, he'll just throw his ties out of pram and try and force a move. So we're not going to sign that player. Like, it just sends an incredibly bad message out in every direction.
Yep.
Don't do this. Andy is saying, and he's a very good point, Harry Gray's still developing. What Matteo Joseph has done is given Harry Gray a step forward that he probably wasn't going to get till next year, at least. And now we've put Harry Gray in a situation where Harry Gray's getting those minutes in pre-season. He's looking decent. And now Harry Gray will go in ahead of him in the pecking order. So there you go.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. And unfortunately, the difference between Matteo Joseph and Harry Gray is Harry Gray's a smart ass. Harry Gray is very, very confident in his ability. Harry Gray is not frightened to step over somebody to get what he wants. And if you show, and listen, you're a striker, that's not a bad thing. If you show somebody that you're not willing to fight for it, he will go, cool, I'll take it and I'll run with it. Absolutely not a problem at all. I'll run with it. Give it to me. I'll run with it. Fine. Yeah.
Just trying to see what Mateo's wage. Someone saying he's on £15,000 a week. His annual salary is 780 grand. Yeah, 15k per week, which in Premier League money's terms,
nothing.
It's tiny, absolutely tiny. But it's interesting. It'll rumble on, I'm sure, until probably close to deadline day. And I would be shocked if it's not still going on deadline day. We'll see where it is. Leeds need to bring in at least one striker. It's going to be Pirro, Meche, one other, and then Harry as your backup, which would have been Matteo, but now it'll be Harry.
Yep.
Let's see where they go from there, and we'll see what next week brings in terms of transfers. If we see anything before the weekend, I'd be surprised. We did say after Stack came in, it'll probably go a little bit quiet now while Leeds get the sprinkles on top of the ice cream ready to go for next week or for the start of the season. So we'll see. Paul, anything going on your channel this week? Anything you want to cover off before we wrap up?
Literally just news as it comes out. I don't do the speculative stuff because I don't have the mental fortitude to look through all of that kind of stuff. I'll leave that to your good self, Joe. But it'll just be news and information as and when it comes through. I'll pop it on there. Just if you see it, if it's on there. If it's what I've generally tended to do so far this this kind of transfer window, if it's juicy information that's quite nice and concrete, I'll make a full video. If it's just a little bit of an update, then it'll be a short. So it'll be a short that'll come on, or a short that goes onto TikTok as well. So that's what you'll see for me. But if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Turn the notifications on so you can see all the bits and pieces that are on there and the stuff that's coming out. So yeah, the support's always greatly appreciated.
That's no problem. I'll wrap up a couple of 4 comments that we just kept to the end, just real quick. Lockie mentioned Kevin Lopez from Shakhtar. Looks exciting. Ben Locke and Lockie Leeds. If you haven't checked him out, go check him out. He has done a breakdown of some potential wingers. Lockie's a sports analyst, a football analyst, so he has a lot more in-depth knowledge of these than we do. It's his job. Go check out Lockie if you want to get some detail there. Our Leeds in for Harvey Elliott. Leeds can't afford Harvey Elliott. It's going to be in the 40 millions, and there's plenty of interest in him from European Champions League and Europa League clubs. Get my words sorted out. El Canoes for the shout. Yeah, he would have been, but he's also been tapped up by a ton of Champions League level clubs as well. So probably off the radar for now. And we seem to be struggling with the Cherry signing. I think it's relative. Things what you describe as Cherry. I personally love a really hard hitting central defensive midfielder. So for me, getting Stack was a decent Cherry signing for me. Depending on that, but I know what you mean by creative player. And the James McAtee one as well that people are asking about. Man City have rejected a £25 million bid today for James McAtee. They're holding off for closer to £45 million. And Artem Dobik won't be coming to Leeds, I don't think. Again, he's for sale. I don't think that's what Leeds are looking for. Other teams cast offs at this point. I think Leeds are looking to get players that are coming into their prime, not coming out of their prime. So, yeah, that's just to wrap up all the bits and pieces that we're floating around today. Paul, massive thanks, mate, as all for joining me, mate, and thanks for coming back from your holidays in good shape and good health.
Cheers. I try my hardest. I really do. James Justin is another name that's being thrown around at the moment as well.
Wouldn't say no.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. Folks, have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your day. Back in the morning for more Leeds news. We have to wrap up at the weekend as well, the live stream to cover off everything. And if anything major happens between now and the weekend, we'll jump on. If it's just a couple of tweets or a kid article, I'm not getting off the couch to cover that. All right? Relax. Unless someone's credible, we'll leave it. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.